Welcome back, everyone, to the Qualified Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zielinski, and with me today is Jeb P with Sweeple, his cleaning company based out of Birmingham. Jeb, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Excellent. So, can you give us a background on yourself? Were you born and raised in Birmingham, or did you move there? Stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Auburn, Alabama, a small town in Alabama, and then went to school at Birmingham, and I've lived for college, and I've been in Birmingham ever since. So I've been here most of my life, or more of my life than anywhere else. So consider Birmingham my home.
And is your cleaning company only in Birmingham, or do
So
you have multiple locations?
So we have a location in Huntsville and one in Birmingham. Um, so we're kind of covering those. And Huntsville's a fastest growing city in Alabama. It's about 2 hours north of Birmingham, about an hour and a half to 2 hours north of Birmingham. And it's where we've got a large presence of rocket scientists, believe it or not. We do have those in Alabama, and so that's got there's a lot of NASA stuff and Redstone Arsenal stuff. So it's a good affluent population in Huntsville.
Awesome. And your family, anyone a business owner?
No, not really. My dad was he was I mean he was in a practice, but he wasn't like a in business per se, I guess.
And what you said you went to college in Birmingham. What college did you end up going to?
I went to a small liberal arts college, Birmingham Southern. Um, it was a great school at the time, and it's just had some tough times. And also got an MBA from UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. Uh, and a
Excellent.
graduate degree from Georgia as well.
So multiple degrees, any for business?
Yeah, I had marketing and accounting degree for undergrad, and then a business MBA and a business technology master's degree as well.
So going to the business side, when did you start Sweeple?
Actually, I bought it from another guy who it was about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, from a guy named Adam, and so I bought it and kind of picked it up from there, and it's been running smoothly since then.
What was the reason for, I guess maybe without giving too much away, the reason you wanted to buy it from him, or why was he looking to sell?
He was looking into go into other businesses himself, and and then I was looking for kind of a side gig. And actually, I have after I bought it, he helped me with this, get a virtual assistant that manages the company. So I wanted more of a passive um, passive income stream. So that was my original reason I bought it. And so and I got I have a VA kind of running the company. So it's pretty. The day to day is almost completely hands off, and a lot of that's facilitated by BookingKoala because it's a software that's really easy to use and easy to train somebody on. It's not a high learning curve, and it's really it's as simple or as complex as you want it to be, but you're able to customize it, which is great. So you can say, all right, well, I want to add these add-ons or these extras or these features, and it's up to you how customized you want it to be. Whereas I've heard a lot of other softwares are complicated right out of the box, and you have to kind of really figure them out ahead of time. And so, which is really of all the software we use, I think BookingKoala is probably my favorite.
Excellent. Is this your first business that you own, or have you started or owned anything previous?
Well, I also have an Airbnb business. I just have one unit. And I think, if Airbnb is a really good platform, otherwise we would probably, this would be a good, actually, if somebody wanted to go outside of Airbnb, I think this would be a good opportunity. BookingKoala would be a um, good software to use if you wanted to book on your own. And I guess really the only reason that I don't want to do that is because I don't really want the extra liability, insurance without, having that umbrella of Airbnb. But if I ever did, I'd probably use something like BookingKoala to manage, other um, bookings like online. I guess I'm just like being in the booking business in general.
Streamline automation, kind of set it up and watch it take care of itself.
Yeah, I like that kind of business.
So revenue wise, how much revenue are you gonna do this year by the end of the year?
It's going to be like between 100 and 150,000.
And how many independent contractors do you have? Or do you have
Uh,
employees?
no, we do independent. Everybody's independent. I have the one virtual assistant, and then I have two cleaners in Huntsville. Um, and I have three in Birmingham. And we're trying to. It's been. I will say that the biggest challenge has been hiring, but I think we've kind of overcome that and are able to kind of break through a little bit on getting hiring in. And actually, we have been using. That's another thing I like about BookingKoala is the hiring module is really really good. We've integrated it to where um, so we use Indeed to run our job advertisements, and then we use BookingKoala to kind of onboard our candidates. And it's nice. BookingKoala is nice because we were able to ask some more in-depth questions of the candidates. Kind of basically, we basically have an application on there, and with Indeed, you can ask like 2 or 3 questions. So with BookingKoala, we have 10 questions in there to kind of screen out candidates ahead of time, and it's really nice to have that functionality so that we can get if somebody doesn't put in good answers, good thoughtful answers, then we're probably not really interested in them as a candidate. So it's really a good way. It's been a good way to screen people out. And then if they are good candidates, we already have all their information, so we can onboard them pretty seamlessly.
And who handles the hiring? Is it you or your VA?
My VA does most of it. There was a time when hiring was pretty lean. It was hard to hire, and then I helped out a little bit more and was a little more involved in the process. But now we've gotten it set up to where it's pretty much takes care of itself.
What would you say Sweeple's unique in the area? What does it do uniquely different than all the other cleaning services?
Well, I think we like to have a one-on-one relationship with the customer and the homeowner. I mean, the homeowner and the provider, because we feel like that establishes more trust. And I think a lot of the other companies have 3 or 4 people come in, different people each time, and it's just a team of people that come in every time, and they don't really get to know their provider. So that's kind of the thing we got going on there. I think it offers a good competitive advantage.
And I know you've just had it a little over a year. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced being a new owner to a company that's already been out?
Definitely, I think hiring has definitely been the biggest challenge right now. But I think we're getting that going, and so I think our next challenge is to get, so we had to put our advertising on hold for a minute, and so we're trying to get that picked back. We're trying to pick that back up. So I guess with advertising, there's a lot of trial and error, so we're working on that to get everything, up and running. Again.
Would you say the challenges for hiring are because of the industry that you're in, cleaning in general, or would you say that it's more so the economy and the market that we're in?
I think it's more of the economy and the market. I think one thing is I think the service industry is unemployment is really low. I think it's even lower in the service industry than anywhere else. I mean, I haven't seen the statistics, but I think that's the challenge. And I think I guess this is a good thing though. But there's a lot more service industry jobs than there used to be now. 10 years ago there were no peer-to-peer service. Right? I mean, I guess Uber's been around more than 10 years, but it's basically unheard of at the time. And then you've got like a lot of ride share, food delivery and stuff. And I think that's new industries are coming into that. And so it's harder. A lot of people in the industry are already, good. The good ones are already picked up. And so we've just recently been able to find some good cleaners that are really dedicated, but I think there's a lot of people. I guess like I said, the good ones already have jobs, and then so you get kind of, I guess, the leftovers and people that just aren't really, don't have any experience in anything, and so they're kind of. I think that's kind of a challenge, but again, I think we're slowly overcoming that, and I guess Birmingham has a better labor market, but it's more competitive because it's a bigger city, so we don't win quite as many of the jobs. And then Huntsville has is less competitive, so we have a little bit more competitive advantage there. But it's harder to find employees because it's a smaller city and it's more of an affluent city, so not as many. There's not as much in the service sector as there is in Birmingham.
Are you more commercial or residential or both?
Mostly residential. I think we kind of found a challenge in the commercial space to find people who have the commercial experience and are willing to work on nights and weekends, because the night that's when the commercial jobs are available, because people don't really want their office clean while they're working or whatever. So,
Marketing wise, what do you focus on versus what do you try and stay away from completely?
I think one thing that we don't really want to compete on is price. And we also are not necessarily looking for, a lot of one-time cleans can be really challenging because they haven't had their house cleaned in say 6 months or something, and so you really have a big challenge there, and you don't know. You could get somebody on one of those hoarding TV shows, and then you're like, oh, well, we didn't realize we've had like 2 or 3 months of dishes and trash piled up, and so we kind of I think we try to filter those people out ahead of time, so that we don't, so that basically a deep clean would be somebody that's already straightened their house up and taking the trash out and that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of a challenge, and so we try to avoid the one-time cleans, and then avoid people that are looking for a discount, because I think you're looking for somebody who is looking for better service rather than a better price, and I think we offer some. Like I was saying earlier, if we can offer them, build and establish a relationship between the cleaner and the homeowner, I think that's the kind of customer we're looking for, is looking for a long-term relationship rather than looking for a one-time cleaner. We're looking for the best deal out there.
What about in terms of platforms? Like, are you focused on SEO, Facebook ads, Google LSA?
The LSA have been our best. I think that's our best. Anyway, if people don't know about that, that's local service ads, and I think we have a good competitive advantage there in Huntsville. We're way up at the top of that. We've got really good reviews, and so we get a lot of good response from the LSA ads. And we do use Google Google AdWords. I think they've rebranded that. But anyway, and so that that's actually a good platform to test, kind of what the market is looking for. And then we use MailChimp a little bit too, to kind of test that out with our, we kind of use that for our existing customer base. We have, um, previous customers that we try to, or one-time customers that we try to get on as recurring customers. So we use MailChimp as our kind of our email service. And those are our main platforms that we use. I think we probably want to get a little more into Facebook. I think Facebook is becoming more challenging because there's a lot of places we could go. There's a lot of good local groups that would be good to market to, but they don't allow business pages to be part of it. So that's kind of a challenge too. So, but I think there are some good places there, good opportunity there coming up.
And what's your favorite way to stay up to date on industry trends and developments?
I guess just kind of a lot of it. It's a little bit, I guess, kind of trial and error. Just to figure out what works and what doesn't. So I think I guess maybe that's not the best way to do it, but I guess that's kind of what we're doing now is to just kind of test out some of our marketing campaigns and then, A/B testing and that kind of thing. I think that's, we probably could do a little bit more, that kind of testing. But I think it's a good point. There's some opportunity we could do to stay on top of some trends and especially in advertising.
Financial management is huge for any business. What's your take on it? How do you approach financial management? Are you doing it once a week with your VA? Are you trying to check things daily, monthly?
Well, I guess I probably need to be more diligent about that. I use QuickBooks to do the books, but the way we do pay, but at the same time we do weekly payroll, so we really have a pretty good grip of what's going on, as far as how much is coming in, how much is going out, because we're taking in, and then our monthly expense. I mean, because we pay out ahead of time, so we don't really. That's the nice thing I will say about the cleaning industry, which is really good, is you only get paid for jobs that are completed. Whereas if you were, say, in another service sector like the restaurant business, you could hire somebody, you could have 10 people on staff one night, nobody comes in, and then, you end up losing money. And then I think that's a good thing about being in the cleaning business is you can hire, some people and, get in and you only pay them if they work. And so I like that piece of it. So we always have the revenue to cover, payroll for any given week. That's nice, particularly for a small business. You don't want to kind of get more out there than you need. You don't want to have extra exposure. So I think that the industry itself kind of is regulated. Well, maybe not regulated, but it's designed so that you really aren't out of pocket for, have a huge expense one week or 1 month where no revenue came in, but you still make payroll. So we're always in a good position to make payroll. So I do like that about the cleaning industry. And I guess I would say that about any, job-based service sector type of thing. So I do like that. And then, like I said, we use QuickBooks, and then we kind of manage our expenses on. I think really most of our expenses are fixed cost, except for marketing and advertising. And payroll is obviously a variable cost, but additional cost above payroll, the only variable cost would be advertising. We can kind of control that. I guess we can't completely control our hit rate again because we have people who are looking for, say, a deep clean. They want it done that afternoon or something like that. There's a lot of immediate jobs that we just can't fulfill. And I'm not sure that many people can, unless there would happen to be a cancellation. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but
Yeah. What about can you share an experience where you had to make a tough decision that was a significant impact on the business?
I think our toughest decisions have been the hiring. Um, we've had to kind of take a chance on a couple of people that we didn't the labor pool was so thin there for a minute that we just had to take a chance on people that we didn't really feel like would work for us. So we had a cleaner that left a few months ago. She moved to a different she went on to go into go to college or something, and so she was one of our pretty good cleaners, and so we had to backfill all of our stuff. And we didn't have a great candidate there, and so we kind of took a chance on one, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out as well as we'd hoped it would have, and so that was one of the issues we had. So that was kind of I don't know, that was a tough decision, I guess.
Fostering a positive company culture. How are you doing that?
Well, we try to keep the morale high and really communicate a lot with our customers and with our, as well as with our, providers and with our customers and then with our VA. So I try to really keep constant communication, and then we pay bonuses when we have good quarters. So I think that helps keep morale high. Tell them they're doing a good job. I think that helps a lot. And I don't think we can really do that enough. I mean, you can't do that too much. And I think that's one thing that, I need to continue to work on, improve, constant improvement in that area. And, I think we also want to give people a lot of, you know, benefit of the doubt. I think is helpful a lot. We get he said, she said on clean. We have a cleaning that didn't quite go as expected. That's usually on the one-time cleans too, which is another reason kind of try to steer away from those. Is somebody wants their top to bottom cleaning, and you just kind of sometimes have to give the benefit of the doubt to your cleaner. So you keep that. You usually keep the homeowners happy.
And how do you prioritize and manage your time as a business owner?
Well, I've got, I also have a job, so that is a challenge. I think that the best way to manage my time is by having the virtual assistant who manages the day-to-day operations. I think that's my best time saver by far. And I think that I only step in when needed, like if there's a hiring crisis, or I do a lot of the marketing myself, but it's not time sensitive. So if I didn't answer the phones or nobody answered the phones, we'd be hurting pretty bad pretty quick. So I think the VA is definitely the best way to manage my time.
For sure. What top two metrics do you track to measure the success of the business?
Well, I mean, I guess this is kind of generic, but revenue and cost of labor. And again, there's not always a lot of control on that. And then I guess the other thing is conversion rate on, like how well we convert a particular, when we do local service ads, because, it's critical. I think we need to got to work on our script a little bit so that we can, hey, this works or this doesn't work. So I think the conversion rate is probably the biggest deal. And then I guess revenue, obviously that's the lifeblood of the company. So those two are probably the biggest KPIs that I would track.
What would you describe your leadership style as?
I'd say I'm pretty laid back. I try to let kind of laissez-faire and let you know let my VA run the business, and kind of just do maybe a little guidance here and there, and try to really be real fair with my providers too.
What do you do to ensure your business stays sustainable and environmentally friendly?
We use pretty environmentally friendly chemicals. In general, we try our best to use that, and then we also have, if we have specific, I guess homeowners can provide their own chemicals and stuff, but we try to use more natural chemicals if we can when possible. I mean, some stuff works better than others, obviously, so you gotta use what works in cases. You can't just use soap and water in some cases. But
Do you currently have any partnerships or collaborations with other businesses?
No, we don't. Not right now.
Do you ever focus on that?
Do I have? I'm sorry. What was that?
Do you ever focus on that?
No, that might be a good opportunity though. I think maybe working with some um, things, maybe like the Chamber of Commerce or hiring groups on Facebook might be a good opportunity to find some resources. Again, I think we're in pretty good shape as far as staffing is concerned, but could, if we need to get back into that, it'd probably be better to get it in there sooner rather than later.
Work-life balance. How do you handle that?
I think it's challenging. I guess there's just sometimes when you work harder than others. I guess right now is on Sunday afternoon. Just sometimes you're working and not spending time with your family. But I do like to take vacations with my family, and then holidays and stuff. And I really try to unplug when I'm when it's time. That time when it's time to hang out with the family, just kind of unplugged in, and we try to not have phones at dinner, and so even if the time is we have less of it, less quantity, want to make sure there's higher quality. So I guess that's kind of one of the things that I like to do.
Setbacks and failures. How are you handling that with the business and the VA? How does the VA handle it, and how do you handle it?
I guess we've had our biggest struggle has been the hiring, and so I think we're on the other side of that. I guess it's just been a lot of persistence, and I guess you kind of you're like just kind of have to push through it. You don't have a lot of choice. I mean, committed to it, and then you have to keep going through with what you started with, and come out through it on the other side. I do have a business coach, and so I do have bad days, and it's nice to call on him when I have a bad day, and have some other resources that I can count on. That's reassuring. Listen to podcasts with people in the industry. That's good.
What's your approach for pricing and ensuring that your services are competitive?
We do kind of pricing with other companies from time to time. We try not to discount too heavily, because we'll discount on the first time of a we try to keep our prices competitive, obviously, and then we have an occasional bump with inflation, and we kind of a little bit of inflation we've had a good bit of inflation this past year. So I think that's been kind of a challenge to keep up with inflation. Now that we're a little better staffed, I think we should be able to manage that a little better. So yeah, I think we just can't cut back prices too much. Just kind of have to stay through there. And people that are competing on price, I've also learned this in my Airbnb business, are not really probably your best customers anyway. I mean, if somebody's trying to nickel and dime you, it's like, they're going to end up being high maintenance somewhere else. And so, sometimes we'll just lose out customers just because we're not willing to go, cut our prices all the way down because it's just not, in the long run, it's not really going to be worth it to us.
What do you take steps wise to enhance your customer loyalty and get those one-time customers to become repeat?
Well, we're actually trying to work on a campaign. We're trying to where new customers can get their fifth clean free, and so that way, if you give somebody a 30% discount on their first clean, then you don't know if they're going to come back or not. But if it's on their fifth clean, they're like, well, they pretty much have to join, do it, and do 2 or 3 times, they'll stay with you. And granted, there is some there's turnover in the industry. People move to different areas, or we've had people that have started traveling a lot for work, and they just hadn't needed a cleaner. So we have had faced some challenges like that. But I think that the key in this industry is to always have a pipeline of incoming customers so that you can we're fully staffed. I think it's going to be a lot easier than it was beforehand when we didn't couldn't even take on any more work because we couldn't hire fast enough to take on the new work. And now we're kind of in a better position, which is good because this is one of the busiest times of the years is during the holidays. So
It's always good to have that problem when you have too much business coming in, but not enough cleaners. It's also bad because you're losing out on money. But
sure,
if you know your marketing's bringing in all those customers, you just got to keep hiring.
Right.
What do you do to stay motivated and maintain that entrepreneurial drive?
Like I was saying earlier, having a coach is a good thing to have. When you have a bad day, it's nice to, have somebody to talk to about, hey, that, my coach is good about saying, look, you're going to have to push through some tough times, to get to the other side. He's got a lot of experience in business too. So I think that's been a good thing to have. Listening to, podcasts is good too with other people in the industry and, other people in general facing adversity. Also coaching my daughter's basketball team. So to be a good leader and, get them to help, face through adversity and push through is kind of gives me a little more fortitude too.
Awesome. What are some of the most important lessons you've learned being a business?
I think a lot of the stuff you hear on TV is you don't hear you see people when they hit their fame and you don't really see anybody in the meantime. And I guess another thing is, I think I guess it was Jerry Rice that said that he'll do the things that nobody else wants to do so he can do the things that nobody else can do. And that's always motivating to me. And seeing, people like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, who really had dedication and they pushed through some tough times. I guess, I don't know if that answered. Actually, I've kind of already forgotten the question. I got it a little bit off track there.
What do you do to stay motivated and keep your entrepreneurial drive?
Yeah. So again, listening, reading books and books and podcasts by inspirational people who've really kind of done the dirty work and gotten through it and got on the other side and gotten through average to get to great.
How do you manage and leverage your data that you're collecting and making business decisions off of
that? One of the things that we do is MailChimp and Google Ads have pretty good. They have good platforms of being able to really track your ads and your conversion rate. So those two are good avenues. Google Local Services is kind of a little bit tougher to use, but I try to get my VA to track all the leads in a separate like spreadsheet so that we can see how ads have done, see how, what ads are working. I mean, what kind of pitches are working and what we need to offer the customer to kind of get them in the door. Particularly the recurring customers will kind of bend over backwards on the first clean if they want a regular clean. Get them, the recurring customers is the lifeblood of the company.
Short-term goals with long-term vision. How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's tough. I guess, the two just can't conflict with each other. So, if you want to increase revenue, I guess you kind of have an ad campaign to increase revenue, and that the long term goal is to increase revenue. The short term goal is to get the campaign right, and see what the customers are clicking on and clicking through, and what kind of response rate we're getting.
What role does social media play in your marketing and customer engagement?
As I mentioned earlier, we're using Facebook a little bit. We haven't really tapped into the other areas. I think one thing is, I think one thing I really like about, MailChimp and Google AdWords is you can really kind of see what the message that resonates with customers. And I think that's one thing that you can make a big mistake on. And I've kind of learned that the hard way is you don't want to spend $1,000 a month to test out an ad. You'd rather spend, really low amounts of money. And I've learned that even with, Google AdWords is you just kind of, underbid the competition just to kind of figure out, even if you get ads in the middle of the night, but you get them for cheaper, you still can kind of measure what ads resonate with your customers. So I think that's kind of key, is to start, figure out what the message that resonates with the customer is first before you really try to propagate the message.
And how are you handling customer feedback and incorporating it back into the business?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, we're trying to get a little bit more of that, and it's hard to get feedback. I think what we're going to try to do is another campaign we're going to try to do is just have our former customers, that have, just stayed with us for a short period of time, get some feedback from them to see how we can get longer term, and maybe little incentives like a Starbucks gift card, something that's not really expensive, but it makes it worth somebody's time to do. And we need to work on that a little bit more.
What's your strategy for scaling and managing the growth at the same time?
I guess we've kind of gone over that a little bit. Having the VA definitely is there's a lot of ability to scale there, because she has a lot more bandwidth, which is great. And then I guess a constant hiring pipeline. So we run our ads we don't ever turn our hiring ads off. And then we just have to, if we see a good candidate, we're going to just hire them right away, and then kind of get to work for them later. So I think that's the key, is to kind of keep that pipeline going, active. And again, in more challenging markets like Huntsville, it's good to have the hiring pipeline, going at all times, because it's a little bit harder to find labor there.
Do you have a process for your hiring?
What list?
Like a process. Do you have like a multi-step process?
Yeah, we like I said, we've been using Indeed and really have like that platform as far as the advertising piece of it. And then we kind of have the next step is for them to go to, on the BookingKoala and, fill out the form there. And so the customer, there's a lot of people that can just, one click apply on some of these job sites. And we kind of want to avoid those people that submit 50 resumes a day or something. So by them having to go to, BK to log in, to kind of sign up, then we can get some better answers from them, and we can look at the answers. And we have questions like, what would you do if you couldn't make it to an interview, or you couldn't make it to a job? What would you do? And you can kind of tell the way people answer questions like that. Or how would you clean, a shower with mildew in it? And if people have to, either know what they're talking about or not, or if they're not really willing to put in the effort, you can tell by their answers right there. So you kind of filter them out there. And then, we screen all of our candidates, give them background checks, and get references from them. So we get all the information we can, and make sure that they have that. And, if they don't fill in a reference, then we're like, okay, this person's probably not what we're looking for. And then we have questions like, what interests you about Sweeple? Why would you want to work here? And then if they don't, they don't have an answer for that, we're like, okay, well, maybe they're just, firing out 50 resumes a day and, hoping something sticks. So kind of want to avoid those, people that are doing that.
Where do you see the business in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'm hoping to have, steady growth. It'd be nice to have, you grow 20% a year for 5 to 10 years. You really pick up a lot of traction. If I ever got, an offer to buy it, I'd listen to that. If somebody ever wants to buy my business, I'll talk to them about it, or do some kind of co-op. So that wouldn't be out of the question.
Going more towards the technology side and the software, what role does tech play in your business operations?
I guess we leverage, BookingKoala is one of our, big pieces of technology that we use. I think, again, MailChimp and Google Ads are good technology pieces that we use. We have a phone system. It's not my favorite, but it's better than, better than not having a phone system, I guess, is one thing I'd say. So, we've got a website, and I do like BookingKoala. It has a good, lead generation form, landing page type thing. So that's been a good piece of technology I guess we use. So a couple things like that, text messaging. I know that's nothing novel, but our phone system does allow us to do that. So that's nice to be able to reach out to people that way. Those are a couple of pieces that I wouldn't say were necessarily cutting edge in some areas, but maybe we'll get there.
How long have you been using BookingKoala? Did you inherit it when you bought the business, or did you transfer it from a different software?
Yeah, we've been using it since day one. The original owner was using it as well, and we looked at a lot of different. We did a review of all of our platforms, and as far as like the virtual assistant, like the company I got the VA from, virtual assistant from, has, they just do virtual assistant staffing. And so all of them were like, yeah, this is the right one to go with in the service industry. So that one was easy, and we haven't really had any issues with it. Support's good too. So we've been able to schedule a call and everything like that. So that's been good.
Excellent. One feature that we have that you couldn't live without.
I really like the hiring module. I think that's really seamless, where it, we start the onboarding process before, we're even interested, with the original questionnaire, so that we already get the customer's information. And it seems to be, then it's easy to send out contracts, which is nice. Which actually is really nice, because then we have the contracts on file and everything. So I think that's a good feature. I like that one a lot. The simplicity, I think, is the other key feature that just makes it really nice.
One feature you wish we had that we don't.
That's a good question. Nothing comes to mind right now. I'm sure there's something out there, but I can't think of it right now.
Do you believe your business could be run without this software?
Without some kind of booking software? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm sure there are other softwares out there that would, you could get the job done with it, but there's no way to do it without, some type of booking software. And like I said, talking to the BAs that, in the know, they said that this is definitely the simplest and, easiest to set up. I think somebody had mentioned another software, and in BookingKoala, you get a customer in the door in 3 to 5 minutes, and then some of the other softwares are, it takes 10 to 15 minutes, and by then the customer's like, oh, if I have to answer this many questions, I've lost interest. So
Absolutely. Advice you would give to an aspiring business owner based on your experiences?
I think I would do a lot of research before you get into a particular business and see. I mean, even if possible, I would even probably try to do some kind of work in the business before you bought a business. That'd be my number one thing, and then really kind of see how it really works. It's easy to say, oh, it does this, but until you get your hands dirty, it's kind of hard to tell what it's really like.
Excellent. Well, Jeb, those are all my questions for today. I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure hearing your story, and we wish you all the success in your business.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michael. I've enjoyed being on the show here.